Okay, so here we go. We have today our IntelliDocs IDP 5 common use cases using IntelliDocs and RPA. So as some of you might recall, we have recently launched our IDP solution, which is called IntelliDocs, Intelligent Document Processing, ElectroNeek's IntelliDocs, which is the only IDP solution catered to MSPs and IT service providers. And today we bring you 5 common use cases using our IntelliDocs and RPA to boost efficiency in document processing. Okay, so your speakers for today, me, Thiago Carlucci, I'm head of global campaign marketing, and we have Ivan Ramos, our sales engineer, that will give us the demo on the 5 use cases. All right, just a couple of notes. You guys have the chance to ask questions, so you can drop your questions either in the Q&A section or in the chat, and we'll take those questions at the end. Okay, so a brief introduction here from my side. Are you guys ready to discover how IntelliDocs works? Yeah, so IntelliDocs is our document processing with AI. Yeah, it's a IDP turbo, let's say. So you have your own API for document processing. You can automatically recognize document type and extract data, automatically enter data in any system with RPA bots. Only basic technical skills required to set up, so not complex at all. 26 document categories, 79 languages, and 900 plus document models have been pre-trained in this tool. So it is a very robust capability package that you have there with IntelliDocs. Okay. In terms of monetization potential, you can create your own subscription plans for your clients, save your client time on document data extraction and manual review, save your client time on document data entry and in terms of web forms, Excel reports, legacy, and software. So there is a bunch of different activities that you can do and offer as a service to your clients to monetize on IntelliDocs. And in terms of supported document types, we have a different number of document types that are supported. And here are a few examples in terms of finance, invoice, receipts, checks, debit and credit cards, remittance. In terms of identification, driver's license, passports, visas, license plates, vehicle registration, social security cards, immigration documents, and a few others like COVID-19 cards, healthcare forms, NICSI labels, ship containers, accord forms, and more. So just a few examples here of the document types that are supported by IntelliDocs. Okay, and in terms of features, you have file types, so dozens of image and file formats, including PDF, JPEG, PNG, GIFs, and so on. And also the capability to process barcodes, watermarks, handwriting, signatures, and tables. So one of the best handwriting identification capabilities in the market today, no doubt. Yeah. And we have our the IntelliDocs is an integrated part of our architecture. Yeah, we have inside the ElectroNeek platform, we have the hub architecture where we have automation hub, business hub, and service hub. And the automation hub is our development environment, and IntelliDocs is an integrated part of the automation hub. Okay, so everything you need is inside the platform, inside the automation hub. And then we have now Ivan will take the floor and show us 5 use cases using IntelliDocs. Okay, so Ivan, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. You can go ahead and share from your side, and we can get started with the live demo. All right.
Right. Thank you, Thiago. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Let me share my screen here for a second. Just like Thiago mentioned, I will be showcasing 5 IDP use cases created in ElectroNeek Studio Pro using IntelliDocs for intelligent document recognition and extraction. Don't forget to use the Q&A or the chat section to ask your questions while we're reviewing these use cases, and we'll reply to those at the end. So first, let's take a look at the digital document processing bot. This is the first example of IDP. It uses IntelliDocs for recognizing passports of different formats. In this case, we'll be using American and Australian passports. then entering the details into a system. In this particular example, we will be showcasing a Google Forms for that system. So let me jump over this explanation and show you the documents. You can see we have different types of passports. In this case, it's one single document type, but different formats of that document type. And the information will be extracted from all of them and in a structured manner returned to the bot and then used within a system, in this case, Google Forms. So let's see how that bot runs. So the passports will be downloaded from emails in this particular case. Then once those passports have been obtained, their data will be extracted via IntelliDocs and then input into Google Forms. So right now it's performing the extraction. Now it's going to open the Google Forms and enter all the data. So as you can see, it just entered the data for the first one, and now it opens the second form to enter the data for the second one. Right, and we have finally a notification letting us know that all the unread emails have been processed, and there has been all the different documents for each email have been processed. So that would be the end of this use case. And in this case, we also got a notification at the end letting us know that the process is completed. Right, so that would be our first use case, our first demo. Now we're going to look at a use case that will involve two different types of documents. In this case, it will use IntelliDocs for processing invoices and driver's licenses. So IntelliDocs will automatically recognize which of those documents are invoices and which ones are driver licenses, and it will extract different data for each one of them, right? It will extract the same structure of data for invoices and the same structure of data for driver licenses. And depending on what document it is, the RPA bot will perform different steps. In this case, they will all generate an email, but the format of the email will be different. You can see right here, we have 4 invoices and 2 driver licenses. And in this case, the bot will grab those files from this folder, and then it will generate emails. It will send out emails with all the information from each document. Let's jump straight to that part. So starting with the execution right here. First, it's grabbing all the files from that specific folder, extracting the information from all of them, and then sending emails for each one. The execution is very fast. The actual processing in IntelliDocs only takes a couple seconds, and all the information for each document is extracted at that moment, as well as the recognition of the format, of the model type, as we call it, of that document. So it's doing that for all 6 documents. 4 of them will be recognized as invoices and 2 as driver licenses. And now in a second, we will see how the email looks when it's a driver license and when it's an invoice. So here we can see the 6 emails that were sent. So 4 of them correspond to invoices, and you can see even that in the subjects, and 2 to driver licenses. And of course, the content of the emails, as you can see, for an invoice, we're extracting the company name, the invoice number, invoice date, taxes, and total. And in the case of driver licenses, the email is completely different. We're actually extracting the given name, family name, address, date of birth, license number, issue date, and expiration date. Of course, this is just a very simple example of the fact that an RPA bot can react differently to different types of documents. Great. Now let's move on to our third demo. This one will actually process restaurant receipts. It's a single document type, but we'll see a large variety of formats, including qualities and even languages. IntelliDocs will automatically recognize that all of these documents belong to the same document type and extract them in a structured manner. So all of those documents will have the same output data. And in that case, it will be very easy to then move the data over to a spreadsheet. So let's see how those documents look. Right here, you can see that we have different receipts, different qualities, different languages, different sizes. And now let's see how that bot runs. So this time we're also grabbing the data from a folder and not from an email. It will extract the data for each one of them. And then it will move that data over to and input that data into a spreadsheet. The extraction here is extremely simple because even though we have many different formats, they all belong to the same document type, and IntelliDocs recognizes that automatically. So the output data that we need for those documents is always the same. So you don't need a specific format or training for each one of your formats, of document formats. You can actually just build a single RPA bot that uses all of those formats with a single training. So let's see how the final result looks. Right now it's finishing up the extraction. In this particular case, there was 9 receipts, so that's why it took a bit longer. And we will now see the results. So you can see this email that has been sent with a spreadsheet that contains the company names, dates, receipt numbers, and totals for every one of those receipts. And that will be the end result of this third bot. Let's now move on to our fourth bot. This one will classify and process different types of utility bills. So it's a single document type, but there's different subtypes of that document. So we will have an energy bill, an internet bill, a phone bill, and a water bill. Let's look at those documents right there. We have 4 different types of bills, completely different in format, size, disposition of fields. They're completely different. But IntelliDocs will recognize what each service, what each bill service the bill corresponds to. So internet, energy, phone, and water, and the total amount of each one of those service bills. And it will input that information also within a spreadsheet, including even the link to the original file. So the file can be then reviewed for further steps. So let's see how that works. Let's jump over to the execution. There it goes. So in this case, it's going to be writing, it's going to be extracting the type, particularly of each service bill, also the amount. Of course, IntelliDocs is also extracting everything else about that service bill, and we can use all of that information however we want. In this particular case, we only want the type of the bill, the amount, and then just the path to the original file. So that's what we're going to look at right here in a second after the bot is done. Right, so the execution is over, and we'll now see the results. As you can see, we have 4 different rows with the type written on the first column, the total amount written on the second column, and then the path to the file on the third one. And of course, we could have many, many different columns with different fields. In this particular case, we only focus on those 2. Right. That would be our fourth bot. And now let's move on to our 5th one. This is for vehicle insurance cards. So this 5th bot will extract data from various insurance cards, regardless of state, policy, vehicle make, vehicle model, and it will output all of that information into an Excel spreadsheet as well. Of course, in most of these cases, we're outputting to Google Forms or spreadsheets. Mostly it's just as an example, but you can very easily, in RPA, within the RPA logic, replace that with any system of your choice, web system or desktop system, database, whatever you need. So here we just saw the different types of insurance cards. Of course, they're from different providers, different information in them, but we can output all of that in a structured manner into an Excel spreadsheet using IntelliDocs. So let's see how that works. The bot will run and extract the information from each one of them and output that into the Excel spreadsheet. So let's see how that execution looks. Right there. It will extract the data for each one, and after the extraction is done, which only takes a couple seconds per document, it will then write the data, add a new row to the Excel spreadsheet with all the data. And now we can see that we have our spreadsheet with the company for each one. In this case, we had 2 from Geico, 1 from Progressive, the policy number of each one, the name of the insured person, the address, in the case that the address is available. If it's not available, we can very simply have the bot skip that field or maybe input a default value, the effective dates, the expiration date, the VIN, and the vehicle, right? All this information was found in insurance data. Of course, the bot could also use this information to search for more information on other sources and then consolidate that information as well in an Excel file or in any other source. Right, and those are just 5 examples of how an IDP solution like IntelliDocs makes document recognition and extraction very simple in a huge variety of use cases. And these aren't just examples of what can be done. These are actually specific demos that we have built into recipes. So if we go over to the ElectroNeek platform, not only can we manage IntelliDocs from here, we can also navigate to the recipes section and find the same demos. And what these recipes involve is not just the video that we just executed, but you can also find a detailed explanation of each one right here, then the demo that we just saw, and also a step-by-step guide on how to build that demo yourself. This is from scratch, from zero, and you will be able to replicate that use case. And if you're a better learner with video instead of text, you also have a full workshop video that explains how to create that particular demo. And even more, you actually can download the bot itself, and with very minor modifications that are all explained right here in the prerequisites, you can actually have the bot run on your own machine, and you can modify its logic to fit your own processes or maybe to add some variation to it. And this applies to every single one of our recipes. So you can read how they're made, read more information on them, use the demo to present to your own teammates or to your prospects to show them what can be done with the platform, and then replicate it and download it yourself. This is available for all the 5 use cases. So 4 of these are right here in the IntelliDocs section, and the first one that we saw is actually right here in the IDP section. So they're all available within the recipes, as well as many, many more information right here inside the platform. Right, and that would be all for the demo of the 5 IDP use cases. Of course, just these 5 quick examples. There are many, many more use cases that can be done. These are just some of the most common ones. So I believe that we can move on to maybe questions and answers.
Yes, so let's go ahead with the Q&A. All right, so we do have a question here in the Q&A from Bill. It says, I'm very excited about this functionality. Have you done any work in the healthcare EDI industry?
Right.
And he mentions the claims here, 837 claim forms, 837 enrollment forms.
Right. Yes. Healthcare is actually a great industry for IDP. There's a lot of document processing there, and it's usually one of the most actually time-consuming and cost-consuming, of course, parts of healthcare processes. So we do have some examples there that we have seen with customers. Of course, our recipes are just pre-built and not related to any specific customers, but actually just general demos. But we'll be delighted to actually discuss those specific use cases that you would like to test. You can book a demo with us, and we can actually look at that specific case and work with it on it together. And the documentation for IntelliDocs is actually available publicly within our help center, and you can actually review the documents, the model types that are available right here. And they're separated by category as well. So there's even a healthcare section right there that you can review. And even in some particular cases, if the document that you need to extract is not actually available within the over 900 models that are included within IntelliDocs, IntelliDocs won't say, oh, I don't recognize what this is, so I won't extract anything. There's actually a form of extraction called semantic extraction that relies on the fields and the labels that are found within the document itself, and there will always be an extraction. So if the fields of the document remain consistent, you can extract the information from that document in a structured manner, even if the particular specific form that you would like to extract isn't listed within the over 900 models. So yes, healthcare is really a very a key aspect of where we believe IDP will solve a lot of issues. So we'd love to have the discussion and look into specific cases with you.
All right, we have two more questions here. Do we have any demos on mortgage documents?
Right, we don't actually have any specific demos on that. We focus more on the types of documents that we found on basically any type of company. We are actually working on focusing on more specific industry specific documents, right? Including healthcare, including financial. So would love to actually create a recipe for mortgage documents as well, but that can definitely be covered within IntelliDocs. And actually, this would also be a great case to discuss in one of these demos where we can, you can show us what those documents look like, and we can actually do a small proof of concept, a trial period where you can not only try the RPA solution, but also the full IDP solution. This can also be accessed during these trials. And of course, we will support you in learning how to use it and provide documentation on it, resources. So, of course, we are trying to document many common use cases, and we will keep working on that. But we would love to discuss your specific use cases in these type of demos.
Okay, we have another one here. How to train the system for new documents.
Right. So as I mentioned just now, if your document is new, you don't actually have the chance to train it, so to speak, as a new model, if it's not part of an over 900, which is not a very common occurrence. In most cases, most documents fall within those 900 model types, over 900 actually, and the list keeps growing. And in that case, we rely on semantic extraction. If you're using IntelliDocs at some point and you find that your documents are not being correctly extracted with any model and also not with the semantic extraction, you can definitely report that to us, and we can look into the possibility of maybe adjusting some models that document might belong to, or helping you use the semantic extraction, or finding other solutions to that specific issue. But in most cases, we have found that either the semantic extraction or any of the some of the over 900 models tend to cover any specific use case. So, but we can of course discuss any specific issues that might show up if that doesn't cover your specific use case.
Okay, sounds good. Awesome. Another one. Can it extract the data from handwritten documents?
Yes, actually it does cover handwriting. Of course, the accuracy of that extraction will depend on the legibility, the readability of that handwriting, of course. Some handwriting is clearer than others, but the general rule is that if a person that is not familiar with handwriting can read that handwriting, then IntelliDocs will be able to read it as well. And it will, in the case that it's not confident about some specific field, maybe because the handwriting wasn't very clear in that part, and some part, IntelliDocs actually also gives you confidence percentages on each field, so you can know when the extraction was more confident and when it was less confident. So this number is between 0 and 1, and if the number is closer to 1, that means IntelliDocs was very confident that this field was extracted correctly. And if it's closer to 0, then that means maybe it wasn't very easy to read that field, and we recommend adding some manual validation to that specific field, or some other way of improving that the content of that document, so the accurate data can be used.
Okay, there's a question here from Tiago Martins from Brazil. Does it work with Brazilian documents? So I suppose Portuguese, yeah?
Right, of course, yes. As we mentioned at the beginning, it supports over 79 languages. Of course, this includes the most commonly used languages in the world, like English, Spanish, Portuguese, German, French, and even other symbols, not only Latin characters. So yes, of course, the recognition of the templates of the model types is actually done, with many different aliases from many different languages. And then there's actually a translation engine included within IntelliDocs that will grab the data and detect when, for example, if it's in Spanish, for example, which I can handle. So if it says like número de factura, for example, which means invoice number, it will recognize that means invoice number. It won't say, oh, I don't know what this is. It will actually translate and say this is an invoice number, and give it as the correct field. So it can handle, like one of our examples, actually, the receipts, the restaurant receipts actually handle documents. Most of them were in English, some of them were in French. This was sent. These documents were sent actually by a teammate from Canada, so they had access to both types of receipts. And we didn't need to adjust anything about it or even tell it that it was in a different language. It automatically recognized it and extracted the data in a structured manner as well. So yes, of course, there won't be any issue with those documents as well.
Okay, one more here. Does it work with shop floor documents from manufacturing companies?
Right, that's a great question. I haven't actually worked with one of those yet, but we would like to look at that specific use case. Again, if it's covered, I don't have the list in mind at this moment. We can check definitely in the documentation. You can check as well to see if that is a covered model within the list of over 900 models. And even if it's not there, semantic extraction will cover it. And we would love to take a look at it. And maybe in some cases, actually, the feedback that we get from prospects or from customers actually helps us a lot to actually improve on the solution as well. So these discussions are always great to have, to learn more about specific use cases, try out those use cases within the demo, within our trial. So you don't, it isn't like, okay, buy the solution and then you can try it. No, definitely we want you to be able to try IntelliDocs as well. We would love to take a look at that one. I haven't had any particular experience with shop floor documents from manufacturing companies, and we're working in documenting many specific industry-specific documents in the future, including some of those, and that will be actually a great one that we can add to our list. So I recommend checking the documentation on Help Center and also contacting us so we can review that specific use case with our team.
Okay, we have two more questions. If we want to send 10 LEC emails at the same 10 emails at the same time, how does this system work? Any use cases or any metrics regarding this emailing use case?
Right, that's more on the RPA side, right? On sending emails. Of course, you can have a bot that sends, like for example, reads a list of email accounts and sends the same email to every single one of those accounts. Or you can just send one and include everyone in that email, and even customize each email, depending on some parameters from that list. You can have, for example, an Excel file with email accounts and maybe some value that needs to change within the email. But that's more of related to the RPA side. I recommend focusing more, and reviewing our many RPA documentation. We actually very recently did a full tech overview of our platform, including the Studio Pro, the development platform, which allows you to create these use cases. So I think that's more of a question related to RPA. Of course, based on the small description that was given of the case, it can definitely be done. Of course, we would need to discuss specifics to understand exactly what needs to be done with each email and then recommend how that would be done. But yeah, that doesn't sound like something that could not be done for sure. But it's not within the realm of IntelliDocs. It's more about the RPA aspect, which would be Studio Pro.
All right, last one. Does IDP read documents with watermarks?
Yes, it actually can work with watermarks. Of course, it depends on how usually depends mostly on the quality of a scan. In the case of a scan, if it's a digital document, the watermark is usually like behind the text, so it's even easier. In the case of a scanned document, the watermark tends to be, of course, it blends in with the text. And in some scans, the watermark is far more prominent. And in those cases, it might be harder. So it depends more on the document quality. But yes, IntelliDocs does recognize text within documents with watermarks. But of course, the results will vary depending on the quality of the original scan.
Okay, we got one more here that just came in. Can it differentiate between various taxes in one single invoice and extract all the taxes separately?
Yes, actually, if these types of taxes are like standard to the model, it will extract them with standard names. So for example, it might include, the most standard case will be that there's only one taxes field. But even if those taxes don't fall within the standard fields for that model type, IntelliDocs still extracts them. So if, let's say, IntelliDocs recognizes that a document is an invoice, it extracts all the standard fields for invoices like invoice number, date, amount, and so on, including taxes. But it also extracts other fields that it finds within the documents that don't fall within those standard fields by using its labels. In the same way that its semantic extraction would work, the main difference is that semantic only uses that extraction, doesn't use any standard fields, but IntelliDocs still uses that form of extraction for additional fields within the document that don't fall within any specific categories that we expect, so to speak. So even if your document has custom fields or anything, they will still be extracted using the name of the field within the document. So yes, you could use that to extract. If you have like 10 different rows for taxes or columns, that will be extracted as well.
Awesome. All right, we have no more questions. I would like to ask everyone to take a minute and scan this QR code that you have here on your screen and book a meeting with us today. This QR code will take you to a Calendly page where you can book a meeting with our account executives that are standing by to talk with each of you on a more one-to-one basis to show you how we can support your business with RPA and IntelliDocs. Okay, so take a second and scan that QR code. Again, thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you, Eva, so much for coming out once again and showing this great demo and answering all of those questions. So we'll see you guys next week in our webinars that we have coming up. Okay. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Right.
Cheers, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.